Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. From March 15th through the week ending April 18th, we at the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations have served Missourians by processing over 400,000 initial claims for unemployment benefits and also made close to $500 million of payments to eligible claimants, both in regular benefits as well as the federal supplement of $600. Last week, Missouri was one of the first states in the nation to process pandemic unemployment assistance program claims. Not only did we take the claims in, but we've already processed and paid thousands of eligible claimants a PUA weekly benefit as well as the $600 federal supplement. This was accomplished while setting up remote work for over 2/3 of our agency, training over 100 additional state staff from our Department of Labor as well as other state agencies to support the unemployment program, as well as contracting and training third-party vendor staff and preparing to hire 50 to 100 more temporary staff for additional support. Just to provide you with some context, normally at this time of year, we process about 2,300 to 3,000 unemployment initial claims a week. In the last 5 weeks, we've had 2 historically high weeks where we have processed well over 100,000 initial unemployment claims. We continue to prioritize the phone lines for individuals who have difficulties accessing our online resources. Our efforts to be responsive to the thousands of calls we're receiving will continue to direct callers to specific messaging for program information and updates. If you're calling about an issue on your specific claim, we continue to ask for your patience and understanding as we do our best to get to as many callers as possible. If you're on hold and offered the callback function, this selection will keep your spot in line, and the system will call you back when it is your turn. So please select that option if you want to be called back. You do not have to remain on hold. For members of the public who have access to the internet, please continue to do these things. First, log into uinteract.labor.mo.gov for the latest status of your claim and weekly payment. If your claim status is protest pending period, if no eligibility issues come up during that time frame, the payment will begin processing after the 10-day protest period. The second is resetting your own password by answering the security questions online that you selected when you registered for your uInteract account. Please try that first before calling. With each of our calls that we're taking, we have codes that our agents indicate what the call was about and why or what was resolved during that call. And so from those codes, we know that those are the top 2 questions that are asked that can be dealt with online. In addition, just a reminder, child support payments, existing non-fraud overpayments, and taxes for those who have selected to have taxes withheld reduces both the $600 payment as well as any weekly unemployment claims. Claimants are also reminded to take extreme care to provide accurate information when you're entering it online. Typos, wrong dates, incorrect answers to questions, and other data entry errors during the initial claims process will cause delays for eligible claimants. And again, more than 90% of Missouri's unemployment claims have been filed online and without any assistance from the department. It's all on our uinteract.labor.mo.gov website, and we continue to implement more options there to assist claimants with their questions. Just a few clarifications about the federal unemployment programs. Anyone who is self-employed and who wishes to file for Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, PUA, must first file for regular unemployment benefits and be determined ineligible. The step is necessary because PUA is a brand new program that the existing system was not designed to address. But once a self-employed claimant's information is in the system, they can file immediately for PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, if they fall into one of the 11 eligibility requirements. Some examples of those 11 categories include being sick with COVID-19, caring for someone in your household who is sick with COVID-19, and being the primary caregiver for school-age children when schools are having students stay at home. The full list of 11 categories can be found on DOLR's FAQ page, labor.mo.gov/coronavirus, under FAQ number 8. In addition, one of these categories must still exist at the time of your weekly request in order to receive payment for that week. While individuals can provide self-certification of the supporting category, the USDOL, and particularly its Office of Inspector General, have directed states to notify, remind, and enforce the policy that misrepresentation for the purposes of obtaining any kind of unemployment benefit is considered fraud and will be subject to prosecution, penalties, and repayment. USDOL has made it clear that general fear of COVID-19 will not support continuation of unemployment benefits under both the regular unemployment insurance program and the PUA program. Therefore, if an employer provides the employee suitable work to return and the employee chooses not to return to work, then unemployment benefits will cease. If an individual files for PUA, it no longer falls under one of the 11 eligibility criteria under the CARES Act, then the individual cannot file for weekly benefits under PUA. In terms of guidance about workplace safety, the Show Me Strong Recovery Plan page has the April 27th DHSS health order with details about physical distancing, as well as the CDC guidelines for workplace physical distancing, in addition to information we have on our labor webpage and in the FAQs. In addition, local stay-at-home orders have included criteria for essential businesses and their operations, and those would still guide local businesses in the recall of employees to work. The Department of Labor is also working on a portal for employers to submit information on employees who refuse to return to work. We'll be announcing that shortly in terms of when the portal will be live and instructions on how employers can use that. And finally, the Federal Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation Program, PEUC, is scheduled to be operational tomorrow morning, Thursday, April 30th. The program provides up to an additional 13 weeks of benefits for individuals who have already exhausted their unemployment claims. If they were already filing a weekly request for payment, they should continue to do so. All individuals who have previously exhausted their benefits in the past year will be notified by email or mail with instructions on how to log back into UInteract and to file under PEUC. That communication will be dependent on what the individual had selected when they registered their account. However, there's no need for individuals to wait for receipt of that communication. They can come back and log into UInteract tomorrow morning and look into the correspondence folder for instructions on how to file. Thank you very much. That's my update for today.
This deals more with unemployment, so this might be directed toward the director here, but how many people of those 400,000 are still waiting right now? Do we have a number on that? And for the people who can potentially return to work on Monday, I know this was briefly mentioned, but who may be afraid to return to work, are they still able to collect unemployment benefits?
I will let the director come up there and answer that too, but my understanding is if your boss calls you and tells you to come back to work, you got to fulfill that requirement if you want to go back to work, but you'll have to go back. But I'll let the director answer that also.
In terms of the numbers for individuals who are yet been paid, we process claims every single day. So there are going to be people in a variety of different categories who will not have been in paid status yet. Generally, under regular unemployment insurance, you have the 10-day protest period, and after that protest period is done, if there's nothing that's found during that time to deem you ineligible, your payment will be paid shortly after that, within a few days. However, for regular pandemic unemployment assistance, this new program that we have up, there is no downtime in that. Claims that were processed last week and deemed eligible actually got payments last week. And so, again, we are processing those as close as possible in terms of the timing of it, but generally it takes at least 10 days for regular unemployment protest period, and again, that's because the employers are the ones who pay that in unemployment insurance, and under the law, we are required to give them that time. It's part of the due process for unemployment benefits.
So as far as for places like restaurants that are opening up next week, if they're maybe not doing a full capacity, but their employees, their servers, bartenders are able to come back but have limited hours, are they able to get any sort of help through unemployment, or is unemployment then kind of a moot point since they're back into work?
They can continue to file, and part of the question for the weekly benefit is how much have you earned that week? So it is literally what have you earned in the past week? And so, you have to have earned above, I think, 384 currently in terms of complete disqualification for a weekly benefit. But so for those individuals who continue to have diminished hours in their work, there will still be the ability to continue to file, and then your weekly earnings will have some level of impact in terms of your eligibility for continued benefits.
Director, this may also actually be for Dr. Carson as well for law enforcement, but for employers, have you given any thought to guidance for employers on employees who may want to be still wearing masks many months from now, no matter what the status of the pandemic is? People who work in hospitality, for example, service industries, employers may want people to be showing their faces to customers more, but do you have guidance on that going forward?
We currently don't have any guidance on that. And again, I think we would follow the Department of Public Health and Senior Services in terms of their guidance, and then as well as CDC in terms of that. For any issues related to workplace safety, the Department of Labor, U.S. Department of Labor, has a number of resources out there, both for businesses and employees and workers out there related to workplace safety guidance there as well. Okay.
Any other questions for Director Pugh?
Hi. I know that it's hard to put a figure on how many people have actually started receiving benefits, but of the 400,000, do you have any ballpark percentages of how many people have actually gotten a check?
Well over 76% of people have gotten a check. So either their full payment, or if there was a partial payment, they're under the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, we're just awaiting documentation from them to be able to provide them more than the 133 minimum per week under that new program.
So of the 400,000, 76% of those people have received at least one payment?
Correct. We've paid over $500 million in claims so far since March 15th, both in regular unemployment benefits as well as federal benefits. Okay.
And I have a question about the numbers. I know the unemployment claims usually come out on Thursdays, but do you have any, are you seeing any trend for what we can expect to see tomorrow, or are you seeing claims going down as the pandemic is, as the state's starting to reopen?
Again, those numbers are a week out, so they're lagging numbers. And so tomorrow morning at 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 here in Missouri, Missouri's numbers will come out with the national numbers, weekly claims, initial claims. And again, we've had historically high numbers. So the previous week, we were at 59,000, but the week before that, I believe we were at over 100,000. And the week before that, it was 91,000, and the week before that, it was over 100,000. So, clearly there are no immediate trends, and because it's a lagging indicator, we can't really see the sort of effect any sort of reopening would have for probably at least 2 weeks in terms of the weekly initial claims data.